Welcome to Front Page. In late January 2026, Amazon announced it will eliminate 16,000 corporate jobs worldwide, marking its second major layoffs in just a few months. This follows a prior reduction of around 14,000 roles in October 2025, bringing the total close to about 30,000 corporate jobs which have been cut in a span of very few months. Nearly 10% of Amazon's corporate workforce. This decision forms part of a major restructuring aimed at reducing bureaucracy and increasing efficiency, particularly through artificial intelligence and automation. Amazon employs about 1.5 million people globally, and this scale of layoffs, especially in engineering and corporate functions, highlights the broader shift actually in global tech towards AI-led productivity and business models. This trend, though, isn't isolated. In the broader tech sector, layoffs have been significant. In 2025, for example, major US companies collectively cut well over 1.1 million jobs, making it the first year since the pandemic to break the million job cut mark across industries. Now, by contrast, the Indian IT sector, which is a $282 to about $283 billion industry with export revenues of about $224 billion, has seen less visible, less public workforce realignment. The sector employs over 5 million people, that's a whopping number. But widespread public layoffs announcements like those in global tech are very rare in the Indian diaspora. As global tech reorganizes around AI-driven products and model-centric strategies, questions are emerging on whether Indian IT services focus model, its use of cash reserves, and of course, its relatively silent workforce adjustments position it for the coming decade in a strength of understanding, or will it leave it vulnerable to structural disruptions? And of course, those are some very hard and uncomfortable questions for the Indian IT going into the future, which I, of course, will be asking our very own tech journalist. So please put your hands together for Mohit Pandey, a brilliant tech journalist who has been covering the Indian IT sector and the global tech trends for many years. Mohit, hopefully, shall be able to give us some answers to these rather tough and strange, uncomfortable questions. Let's start this, Mohit, in terms of the fact that, first and foremost, welcome to the Front Page.
Thank you so much for having
me. Pleasure to have you, as always, with us. As far as the Amazon global tech understanding is concerned, that's a huge cut that has taken place, right? 16,000 jobs. But they never shy away as far as the announcements are concerned. So what does this tell you about as far as how big does this mean in terms of the global stage, and also how does it allude to what their ecosystem is like when it comes to something like this?
So I think as the 16,000 number, right? I'll give you an analogy, okay? If you look at the same 16,000 number for Indian IT, you would get scared, right? So many people are going to lose jobs. But when you look at something like that from Amazon, they are basically trying to please people on Wall Street, right? We laid off 16,000 people. Why? Because of AI. So now they are investing more in AI capabilities. That is what they have said as well. So I think that boosts up their shares because now we are a product company. Amazon, I think last year, Microsoft also said that we're going to focus more on AI, and that is why they let go of, I think, 9,000 people or something. So for them, going up in the market is all about boosting their product. And for Indian IT, it's more about boosting their services, which is a very different shift. But I think Amazon is like an early signal for Indian IT as well, because they are also now incorporating a lot of AI projects. And so, let's see what happens.
So I guess what you're trying to say is that we tend to do it here in the Indian IT, our sector, but we don't do it openly. We give it different euphemisms in terms of reorganization. In terms of other aspects or terms that are used, which you use like in terms of your articles to define things. Why is that though? Why is it that we can't take a stance and our stock prices, whenever we announce something like that here at Indian IT, always plummet?
Because I think 2-3 months back when TCS announced that they're going to let go of 12,000 people, I think that was a very unique thing that any Indian IT firm has done, because I think we discussed this last time as well, at total net employees.
Only 17.
Only 17 employees
across five.
Across 5 firms. And the biggest number that reduced that net headcount was TCS.
Yes.
So, but they would never call it that we are focusing on AI. They are calling it we are going to remove some mid-senior people.
Right.
We are letting go of bureaucracy. We are reducing that. So that is something that doesn't trigger the Indian people as much, because as soon as you hear a headline that 12,000 people laid off because of AI, the Indian people will just
Start shaking in their boots.
yeah, they'll just get rid of all the investments they have in all these IT firms,
Yeah.
and their shares will drop. So and the opposite happens in the West. So I think
So
that
it's like an open secret, Mohit.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. It's not something that not too many people are aware of. But which brings me to this fact: since the Indian IT is aware of it, since the fact that models and the product line that the global tech seems to obviously bring to the center table
Yeah.
gives confidence to everyone, and why not?
Yeah.
And rightly so. Why shouldn't the Indian IT sector start to look at that as a path ahead?
Because if you look at the last 3 decades of Indian IT, they have always been about headcount. If we say that TCS is the largest Indian IT firm, but that is just because of the headcount. Because the services that we provide to all the customers that they have, the Indian IT firms provide, it's based on headcount. We are going to allocate 2,000 people to this task. We are going to allocate 2,000 people, 3,000 people to this task. So for IT services, it's more of a headcount thing. And for Western companies, it's not about the headcount thing. It's about building a product and then shipping it to customers. Like
Yeah.
Google is building Gemini, Microsoft is building their own Copilot. So, and for Indian IT, can you even think of one product that we're using? Anything from TCS?
You know, Zoho comes to mind.
Okay, that is not Indian IT exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I hope you understand where
Yeah,
I'm coming
yeah,
from.
yeah.
I mean, the humble submission that I'm trying to make.
Yeah.
That there's so many jobs, there's so many families, there's so many lives which are there, which
Yeah.
are involved in such a high stakes situation. So, but why not think
Yeah.
about saying, all right, every year we go through this cycle, we call it a different term every year.
Yeah.
How about we actually start to shift our focus?
I think we can. I think if we were discussing this, I think 1 or 2 months back, that Indian IT has around 20 to 21 billion dollars of cash reserve, which
Wow,
is not
that's-
deployed
That's
anywhere.
not pocket change.
Yeah. So they can easily invest in building some AI product maybe, or maybe not lay off people, for example.
But why, Mohit? Why is it that you feel
Yeah.
that is not being done? We've talked about 3 decades of services. I mean, you of course have been covering it not for 3 decades,
No.
but for a while,
Yeah.
and you're deeply ensconced. Is it fear? Is it that it's difficult to break the legacy mindset? Is it the lack of infrastructure? Is it the lack of how maybe the government is responding? What could be the reason? Because it's not like they're not aware of what's happening abroad.
It's the combination of all the 4 things you said, plus the biggest thing I think I would say is the mindset, because these companies have been services companies for the last 3 decades. And to shift to a product company, that's a very big change. I was speaking to Sir Mohandas Pai, I think 2 months back, and he also said that there's no point in asking these companies to build products because they never will. They've always been services company. And even then, if you look at them, they have been growing.
Is that a realistic or a cynical view, according to you?
I think it's a cynical view, but at the same time, if I look at Indian IT, if I imagine TCS or Infosys, they hire a lot of AI engineers suddenly, and they want, obviously, all these AI engineers, if we are building an AI product, they would require salaries like 20, 30 lakhs.
Sure.
I don't think TCS, Infosys would want to do that. And if they want to do that, they'll have to let go of a lot of people who they hire
True.
for 3 or 4 lakhs. So that balance, that pyramid structure, that is very difficult to change in Indian IT firms, I think. So that $20 billion of
Cash reserve. Yeah.
that is just there as a deposit, maybe to give dividends sometime in the future.
Once in a while.
Once in a while, yeah.
So essentially, we are aware. You and I have explored that this is the problem, how to break it, etc., and things like that.
Yeah.
You have spoken to experts lots and lots of times. Do you not feel that certain collaborations and partnerships have taken place over some period of time? You were telling me about some.
Yeah.
How do you do? What do they do with those? Is it that they are kept under a veil, under a garb, not to expose people so that people don't start having panic attacks?
I think on the surface, these partnerships look very exciting, because I think TCS has announced that they're partnering with Cursor, if I'm right, and Infosys has announced that they are partnering with Cognition.
Cognition, yeah.
And yet just yesterday, Cognizant has also announced that they are
Cognizant
partnering
as well.
with Cognition.
Yeah.
So both of them are partnering with Cognition. And what does Cognition do? They have this AI
Talk
software.
about a tongue twister for an auditor.
Cognizant and Cognition, yeah. So what does Cognition do? They are basically built an AI software engineer, which is called Devin. And if you look at what it does, it can basically automate a lot of tasks like testing and QA
Sure.
and everything. So that essentially reduces the requirement of testing engineers at IT firms. But how they are framing this is that now we have AI software engineer. We will have one AI agent with every employee. So now we'll be able to boost productivity. So that is something that they are targeting at. So that on the surface, again, sounds very nice that we are going to boost productivity. But there's not so much demand for services as well, I would say, because if an AI agent is able to do so much job, there would be less demand as well for them to hire a junior person as well. I mean, it's a little weird if I explain it
Sure.
like that. But at the same time, I can give you an example how this looks like. I gave this example, I think, last time as well, that McKinsey CEO said
Yeah, I remember.
that they have total 60,000
Yeah.
employees and 25,000 of them are AI agents. And that the reason for that is each employee has an AI agent, and that is the goal they are pushing towards. So I think Indian IT is also going to do that soon, and I think Devin is in the details, as you said.
Well done, Mohit. But okay, personally, I want to ask you this, because with this, I would like for us to probably close the show and maybe have something aspirational or forward-looking.
Yeah.
Mohit, for example, when you say that there is a gap, there is a very difficult, tough thing to do to break the mindset.
Yeah.
But of course, little baby steps are being taken. All those things are happening. What would you like to, for example, submit as a proposal of sorts to move forward, to get out of this quagmire that one finds itself in?
Yeah.
Because I feel change is inevitable, and I think we need to start to see that.
Yeah. I think for IT services firm, the biggest thing that they can do is deploy that $20 billion of cash and maybe make a small team, like maybe start something like a Google DeepMinds that they started.
Fair
Maybe invest in all these research papers, and that is one of the biggest things that India lacks and Indian IT lacks, is they are not publishing enough research papers that go global.
Fair
So I think Infosys, TCS, they have such a large workforce. They have the infrastructure where they can do a lot of research at least. So I think that is the right step for them to take forward.
And make sure that this is something which is not just done for, let's say, the investors, and it's just not done for
Dividends.
the curtain calls or the dividends.
Yeah.
It's actually followed through.
Yeah,
Because
there
I
should
think
be a big-
somewhere that will make a difference. Do you
Yeah.
feel that the government will then completely get behind them and make sure that they push?
Definitely, I think India AI Mission is a great example for that. They're supporting so many startups, and obviously the government is proud of all these Indian IT firms. So if they decide to build something like that, the government will obviously back them. So I think they should head in that direction. From a services company, become a product company, if they can.
So that's your one-line front page today, front
Yeah.
page take.
Yes.
Would you like to say it to camera?
I think Indian IT services companies should become product companies.
Fabulous, Mohit. As always, you have been succinct and bang to the point. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That was, of course, Mohit Pandey. Mohit Pandey covers IT sector and big tech very, very incisively. He carries on doing it, and he does it tirelessly. And of course, he's going to constantly carry on making sure that he's going to bring us insights. And this is our final takeaway tonight, post what Mohit said. I'll just expand on it a little bit. The scale of layoffs that we have seen at Amazon and across global tech reflects a very big shift, as we have established through this conversation. And the fact that AI-powered efficiency in product-centric models is a big one. Indian IT, with its services, DNA, and a very quiet workforce adjustment which we have seen, it actually faces a choice, as Mohit just put it across very simply. Adapt to a new paradigm of models and AI, or constantly be under the sword when it comes to be an industry which is trailing and is constantly going to be always behind the curve. You need to think about that, and please do let us know what you feel in the comments below. And obviously, like, share, subscribe, and we would love it for you to definitely celebrate with us, because today marks 1 year of Front Page. And of course, we have been tirelessly working for it. Mohit just applauded. You couldn't hear it because he's stealth ninja like that. Like, share, subscribe. This is Front Page, ladies and gentlemen. Think AI, think AIM.
We're reporting today from Bengaluru Hubba right here at Alliance Francaise at the Future Hub. Some very interesting conversation is happening here as we speak. Not about what's next, but about how we imagine change itself. So we are asking how leaders imagine change and why misunderstanding the future may be our biggest risk. At the same time, AI for maths is taking a new form in the era of AI, and how AI is redefining art and entertainment. That's exactly why this matters today on Front Page. Today we have a very special guest with us, Yang Huhi, who is a mathematical physicist. He works at the intersection of maths, physics and machine learning. Welcome, Yang. Welcome to Front Page.
Thank you very much.
Great to have you.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah. So yeah, very interesting talk you're giving here today at Alliance Francaise, where you are talking about teaching AI to wonder, and where math meets machine. So this is the very interesting conversation that you're going to present today here at the event. So I want to understand, like, how do you teach AI to wonder to begin with? And what do you mean, in simple terms, in terms of, what is the difference between AI that calculates versus AI that discovers?
Yeah. So that's a very good question. So I've been thinking about this so I came from a very traditional mathematics background, and I've been doing sort of algebraic geometry, number theory, and string theory and quantum field theory. And then about, 8 years ago, 2017, I started playing around using machine learning algorithms to do computations in mathematics. And I was completely shocked by the fact that it was able to predict things, in a very standard machine learning kind of way. Things that are very technical, things that are like topological invariance of manifolds, which are very hard and technical computations. And yet, if you train a very simple model, a forward feed neural network, it was able to predict high accuracy. So I stopped everything else I was doing to just started thinking about two questions. How is AI doing this? Or I wasn't even using the word AI at the time. I was using the word machine learning doing this.
Yes.
But through this, it gave me a soul-searching question, which is, what is mathematics and how it's done? So your question triggered what I've been thinking about, precisely this, which I recently wrote a review. I think it was 2024, a review for Nature, which I try to summarize what is the process of discovery in mathematics. What is mathematical discovery? And that includes, theoretical physics, pure mathematics, the whole, how do we actually discover? And I think there's three ways in which we actually do it. So the first one is what I call bottom-up, where you try to make definitions and you prove theorems and you build things up from grounds up. The second one, so you can call this trying to solve a problem, if you know what the problem is. The second one, I try to say top-down. That's kind of intuition-guided discovery. We play around with symbols, data, and try to make a discovery that way. So how are we trying to do this? So if you wish, this is, in mathematics, this is called formulating the conjecture. In theoretical discovery, one can call this finding the problem.
Got it.
Right, and the third one is kind of the mysterious way, which is, I call it a meta-mathematical way of discovering mathematics, which is you kind of get a gut feeling. You're not playing with anything. You look at literature. You have an intuition about what the past literature is, and then try to formulate a theory or an idea or even a definition that previously had not existed. So, and the interplay of these three methods has always been how I believe, how we've always tried to discover things, concepts and ideas in mathematics generally defined.
Right.
And I think how AI is helping today, where AI, again, is broadly defined, whether you can define it as simply neural networks, you want to define it as AGI, however you want to define it, some kind of machine-based computational intelligence. And it can certainly help us in these three directions, right? So the first direction is how it can find, this is what we call proof co-piloting, what people like Terence Tao call proof co-piloting, where if we set up a database, a library of formalized mathematics, and this is what's called MathLib, and there's a program that's launched in 2013, and it's been going on every single day.
Got it.
We now have millions of lines of formalized mathematics.
Got it.
And then, so AI is certainly going to try to help us there, because these are proof checkers, they're verifiers. So once you have a correct theorem, the code will compile. So that in that direction, it's going very strongly. It's bottom-up direction. The second direction is by looking at mathematical data. And this is not the data, not the kind of data we get from cosmological survey, not from physical experiments. Mathematical data like distributions of primes or classification of shapes in n dimensions. And that's something that AI is extremely good at.
Correct.
And in this direction, you can get something very rigorous, right? Because what you can do is you can look at distributions of whatever, and then have pattern recognizers, convolutional networks, and you just spot a pattern that we can't do, because we only have intuition in 3 dimensions.
Correct.
We're up to 3 dimensions.
Correct.
We don't have intuition any above that, maybe 4. But that's it. But we were talking about hundreds of dimensional space, which is the generic data, and even in mathematics, and AI certainly can help with this. So in the past 7 or 8 years, there have been conjectures raised by this. There was a DeepMind paper that raised new formulas in knot theory. There was a collaboration that I did with my collaborators in number theory that raised the memoration conjecture, which was actually happened to be the first conjecture that is still open. It was raised with the guidance of AI, and fields of mathematicians in number theory are still working on it. It was a bit surprising because the dimensionality was so high.
Got it.
And the last direction is maybe the most kind of bizarre direction. This almost semi-human or superhuman ability. And this is what I guess it's essentially the world of LLMs or math. Okay. You wouldn't think that LLMs will be of any use to math, right? Because it hallucinates. ChatGPT says all kinds of stuff that's just explicitly wrong. And yet, and this is really only been in the last 2 or 3 years. Increasingly, there are examples whereby interacting with the likes of ChatGPT, you can actually get meaningful results. So there's been a benchmark that I have been involved with called Frontier Math that OpenAI funded Epoch AI to do. And these are very specific questions in mathematics, very technical ones. I'm going to give an example later, just to flash.
Got it.
Where you take a screenshot of this question, and it's a question that you would give to a PhD student or to a colleague, or I would work on personally. And now we've reached a point where 25% of the time of these 500 questions of this level, the likes of ChatGPT, whatever model you're using, some language model, can actually solve it correctly because it knows the entire literature that's ever been published, anything that's related to this. So I think in tandem, these 3 directions just working together will formulate some kind of a loop. And that will certainly be the future of mathematical research.
Amazing. So at the core of all of this neural nets that we're talking about, so everything is mathematical equations and how it is churning numbers and how the next prediction happens. So just for our audience, if you could share your early days into what led you to this particular field and what are you planning to solve with all of your experience, understanding, and what would be your, say, like, contribution to the world in terms of, okay, this would be the breakthrough in the coming years. Yeah.
Well, that's a soul searching
Yes,
question.
soul, yeah.
So I got into I get into everything by idolization.
Okay.
So as kids, as a young kid, I completely idolized Einstein.
Got it.
Because he had that intuition guided thing of explaining the universe, right?
Correct.
So that's why I got into the field of mathematical physics.
Got it.
And then I studied in Princeton because of that, because he was there. So I wanted to just follow his footsteps and just worship him. And then that's why I got into string theory, the theory of everything, which was his last wish as he was dying in 1955. His last blackboard was trying to come up with the unified theory of everything. So I got into string theory trying to do this. But slowly I drifted away from this goal because it's kind of very interesting. I drifted because I found the underlying mathematics to be more interesting than the physical world than it's trying to explain.
Got it.
So this is like a spiritual journey. When I realized the Platonic world, the spiritual world, and I love using the word spiritual world because India is such a rich country for spirituality, and for mathematicians, this spiritual world is this Platonic ideal, the perfect world of mathematics. And then I got interested much more in proofs, in how proofs are constructed as I got more and more into this field, but I didn't like the dry world of proofs, the kind of proofs that Russell and Whitehead gave, the very symbolistic, very dry kind of Bourbaki style proofs. I like example-driven proofs, the old school, people like the kind of very explicit formula that Hardy and Ramanujan had.
Yes.
Almost mysterious and this kind of beautiful examples when you try to, why is this formula true? Let's try to prove this. So that's why I got into this world of algebraic geometry and number theory. And getting into an AI was a complete accident. Getting into an AI was very simply because my son was born in 2017. And so I had an infant daughter and then a newborn child. So that's it. I didn't sleep anymore. Right? So I didn't sleep anymore. So, and you're up at 4 a.m. You're like, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
And everybody's talking about this, right? Everybody is talking about this new thing called machine learning. AI wasn't really in the word so far in 2017. So I just did the simple thing and an experimental mathematician would do, which was to take on my hard drive these 10,000 manifolds that I happen to have and feed it into a neural network. And I was completely blown away. It was like, oh my goodness, why is it doing so well? So then I became a complete fanatic. And I was like, well, there has to be this thing, like how does machine learning discover new structures in mathematics? And this field has now generally become known as AI for math.
Absolutely.
And it's a rapidly growing field. And it's so many experts are involved in this. So I guess I was very lucky in becoming one of the early comers to this new direction, because it wasn't obvious when machine learning was very much in vogue in the 2010s.
Yes.
That it was going to be any use to something rigorous like mathematics, because machine learning is a statistical model. You predict this with some certainty, but there's only certainty. Your proof is either right or wrong.
Absolutely.
So this field of AI for math became, how do you use statistical inferencing to come up with rigorous statements? And that's a very exciting field. And I think it's really a guiding field where the future of this entire field is.
Got it. So, and Yang, looking at the present day AI landscape, right? How are you seeing like AI for maths evolving? Do you think it's going in a different direction altogether with the current trends of, LLMs, then reasoning models, then they're saying the models are thinking, how does, mathematically you kind of justify whether we are achieving towards, optimizing again, there's a different layers to how these machines think. Infra, chip layer, you're optimizing there also, you're bringing AI to the chip, so that optimizing that as well. Absolutely. So there is so much AI for maths that is getting involved. Now they're calling it AI chips. Then we have AI models which can reason. Then we have like models that can also use like quantum computing capabilities to churn more things and predict better.
Right.
So how do you see all of these AI for maths kind of evolve, and why do you think it's critical and important at this time and age for who is watching that? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that this is really the golden question. I really, so as I said, so Lean came about this math lib, this
Correct,
database of all statements of mathematics in this computer form. That was started in 2013, so that was quite a while ago. And then the first AI, first machine learning experiments to explore and try to raise conjectures was 2017. But then there was this huge phase transition right around about 2022, 2023. Because I think in 2022, ChatGPT passed the Turing test.
Got it.
And suddenly it became like, oh, wow, this is it's almost human. But up to until 2022 to 2024, if you asked language models to do any math, it's completely useless.
Yes.
One of the first benchmark questions my colleagues and I were just trying to do is this early ChatGPT 1 or ChatGPT 2.
Got it.
You ask, compute the 15th digit of 7 divided by 9. This is a high school problem.
Got it.
It was completely random because why? It's never seen such an example before.
Yeah.
There's no reasoning.
Correct.
But now ChatGPT is much cleverer. It will write Python code.
Okay.
When you ask the question like this, you say, I'm going to write this in Python, do it, check it, come back.
Correct.
So now I guess that in some sense that's reasoning, right?
Got it.
This is baby version. So basic arithmetic, which turns out to be actually the hardest problem for LLMs to learn.
Got it.
Because LLMs can predict very advanced mathematics because they're sentence structures in advanced mathematics. But basic arithmetic, you got 1 in 10 chance of getting that right, and it's completely uniformly distributed. But so ChatGPT kind of avoided that problem by linking with verifiable databases.
Understood.
So that's what DeepMind is doing now. So DeepMind has just launched Alpha Evolve.
Absolutely.
Based on Alpha Geo. So there's just, every year there's Alpha Geo 2, Alpha Proof,
yes.
2024, 2025, now 2026, Alpha Evolve. It knows to write code. It knows to verify its own answers with MathLib. It's actually importing MathLib to do this now. And that's the game changer. Amazing. Once you have a AI system that knows what to verify and reliable sources to verify it, then the game is it's open. It's completely
No, so my question is, a lot of people keep complaining it can't get the number of hours in Strawberry, but it's going to win gold medal in mathematics and all of that. So how do you solve that two different, I mean, how can we solve the Strawberry number of hours in hour was not versus something that these models are capable of doing, winning gold medals and all of that in mathematics. So
the gold medals is kind of interesting. The Math Olympiad medal. So now there's Axiom Math now can solve Putnam questions.
Got it.
The reason that they can solve these kind of questions is because there's such a large training set.
Got it.
Because humans, we have provided it with reliable data set of good solutions for decades. So there are millions, hundreds of millions of lines. and in order to answer more simple questions, that's a much more subtle question. Okay. But to justify to a bit of a caution, so far no LLM model has solved any major conjectures in mathematics yet.
All right.
I know DeepMind is working on the Millennium Prize problems, and of course it will be the best marketing strategy ever for DeepMind if next year it announces the proof of the Navier-Stokes problem in the Millennium problem. That would be great. And if I'm waiting every day, because this is beyond any computational resources of any university, and it's kind of interesting to see that the companies now have the computational resources to address this problem.
Correct.
I'm waiting every day to see an announcement that DeepMind gives a verifiable proof of one of the major conjectures of mathematics, such as the Millennium Prize problems. And then, wow, it will be great. But it's not unimaginable now.
Understood. So just coming to India, right? So you frequently travel to India, like?
No, this is only my second time.
Oh, amazing. Okay. So we are also going through a phase in terms of, we're building our own sovereign models and we're building our infrastructure. And we are very strong on the application layer in terms of whatever frontier models are there. And we also use open source models to build those capabilities. So what would you suggest for, India to look at how AI should evolve? Should it be like more on the application side, usability, versus they have to be ahead in the research field because it's critically important. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm not sure I have much,
Well,
but
okay.
but I have. What's really amazing is just I've seen growing up in I grew up in so many places. I was born in China, grew up in Australia, then went to uni in America.
Understood.
And in my higher education in America, and while I was an undergraduate and graduate student there, I saw so much Indian talent.
Okay.
So my biggest competitors in terms of taking an exam, there was always some Indian student or some Chinese student.
Understood.
Or some Russian students. But now, so it's kind of, because there's such tradition of mathematics and tech from these three countries, and it's kind of, so I'm combining this visit. So my institute in London is partnering up with Indian government to establish a new exchange program.
Amazing. Okay.
So and we want to just bounce back and forth ideas of what we can do. So we're partnering up in Bangalore. Specifically with ICTS and JNC, and to just have ideas of what is the future for AI for mathematics that we can that's both beneficial to India and to my research institute, which is the only independent research institute in the UK. Amazing. And we're based in the Royal Institutions, where I also give a lot of public lectures. So it's kind of everything is serendipitously linked. And it's very timely that I'm giving this talk here. So yesterday I spent just visiting the local institutes. And there's a lot of interest, obviously, in this direction, in this future direction. And there's tremendous mathematical talent from India. This is a great country for mathematics, like Ramanujan.
Yes.
And what is really interesting is the way that Ramanujan works is how we to Hardy is like how AI is working for us. This completely mysterious way. How is Ramanujan even possible? How is it possible he's getting these results? The same way that AI is like, how is AI getting these results? Right? So I see the best parallels between Ramanujan and AI in some sense.
Amazing. That's a very good analogy that you put there. On a final note, do you code these days anymore? Like, I think AI has taken over coding in terms of, how do you code? I think yesterday you had the Microsoft Copilot SDK being launched, where now you have AI on the application layer. So I think coding as we know it, like human coding, is ending. So what are your thoughts on that? Like, now that AI can take over the coding side of things in terms of deploying it and doing it, I think, what are your thoughts on AI for math would increase in terms of providing those infrastructure and capabilities?
Absolutely.
How are you seeing this? Like,
absolutely. I mean, in fact, that Alpha Evolve, DeepMind's Alpha Evolve, is exactly to do this. It's trying to do how to optimize code to solve math problems by increasing, by having sharper bounds in inequalities. And it's doing really well. There's a paper that Terence Tao is involved. That's benchmarking how this is going. And for me personally, it's actually I'm a good example because I'm a good guinea pig. Because I'm not a hacker. I don't do 5,000 lines of code. Got it. But nor do I not code. I code every day. In my previous life, on the order of 10 to 100, a couple of hundred lines, because I like checking my ideas constantly. In Mathematica, Python, C, whatever that checks. And now I hardly code at all.
Wow.
Because if it's 2 lines, I'll code it because it's faster to type.
Absolutely.
But if it's more than 10 lines, I don't code at all, because I asked even ChatGPT Pro will code better. And I know it works because I can copy and paste, it compiles and run it. It'll just give me the, right? And it's certainly more accurate than me. The human mathematician will spend, who's not a complete hacker, will spend like hours and days debugging some of this stuff. ChatGPT will do that in a millisecond. Understood. And then the code is very reliable. I can't trust anything else that ChatGPT says, but I can trust his code because I know it. I take it to an external, copy paste, compile it on whatever compiler, and then run examples. So I can see output.
Amazing.
So
thank you, and I think that was a wonderful discussion.
Thank you.
Just a final question: what are you excited about the future, and what keeps you going there, and what keeps you awake at night besides your kids?
Well, luckily my kids are now 12 and 8.
Okay.
So I can sleep now again.
Okay.
But what is interesting is I think what this whole AI revolution, I think for many of us, has given us a more deeper question: is what is it to be human? If AI has taken so much and doing so much better than what we can do now, what is it to be human? And I don't have an answer to that. I mean, this is probably keep me at night for the rest of my life.
Okay.
But leave it to the philosophers.
Amazing. Thank you, Jan. That was a wonderful discussion. That's it, guys. This is Front Page. Like, share, subscribe. And always remember, think AI.
And think human.
Think AIM.